On Monday, President Trump signed an executive order setting a 30-day deadline for drug makers to effectively lower the cost of prescription drugs in the United States. And if they don't, they will face limits down the road on what the government is willing to pay in research and development and anything else for that matter. The order calls on the health department, led by RFK Jr., to broker new price tags for drugs over the next month. If deals are not reached, Bobby will then be tasked with developing a new rule that ties the price the U.S. pays for medications to lower prices paid by other countries. You see, Donald Trump says we're done subsidizing. Taxpayers spend hundreds of billions of dollars on prescription drugs and other medications every year through Medicare, which covers nearly 70 million older Americans. Medicaid is also spending tens of billions of dollars each year for drugs for younger folks. Here with me to discuss this, the president of the National Taxpayers Union, Pete Sepp. All right, Pete, good idea or bad? I mean, I like the idea of lowering drug prices, but my guess is they might become less available. Some drugs might not be available at all. If these pharmaceutical companies don't have a big payoff on their research and development, will they exit the game? That's my question to you.
Now, over 150 economists barely 7 years ago wrote an open letter to Alex Azar, who was Trump's Health and Human Services Secretary during his first term, and they warned about tying U.S. drug prices to the ones that foreign countries pay. Now, they recognize these foreign countries are freeloaders, but bringing their price controls into our system is really the backward answer to the problem. What we need to be doing is forcing these countries to pay a better market price. Having an index that we pay for our drugs tied to theirs isn't going to do that, and the backlash is going to be against our patients, our taxpayers.
Well, you say that, and I can't argue with that, Pete. However, we know that I saw one drug, I don't remember the name of it. It's for breast cancer. A patient in America pays about $16,000 a month, either by way of their health insurance or however they cover it. The same drug in Sweden is $1,600, one-tenth the cost. Look, I'm not real good with math, but that seems completely out of whack. And maybe these countries, these socialist countries in Europe, need to pay more for their people to have access to the drugs. I'm not saying it has to be exactly equal, but 10 to 1, that's not going to fly.
That's right. They absolutely do need to pay more. The way to do that, number one, negotiate better trade agreements. The president has been proven to be very good at doing that. This should be a number one demand of socialist countries to say, hey, you cannot compulsorily license our products that come into your country, and that's what they do. It's called compulsory licensing of drug products that come into their countries and pay such a cheap price. You have to pay some of the freight, just in the way the president is asking European countries in NATO to pay a little more for their own defense. You know, it's entirely logical to say to them, you cannot practice this kind of arbitrage against our own companies. And we're going to have to give our companies the ability to say no to these countries' cheap price offers and demand that they pay market rate. That's the start of it. We also have to do drug approval process reform. We got to get this one big beautiful bill through so that things like R&D costs continue to be tax advantaged. That could all run out if Congress doesn't act by the end of the year, but we're seeing encouraging signs that they're moving forward.
Yeah, and Pete, you probably didn't catch it off the top of the program today, but Senator Ron Johnson, Wisconsin, was with me. He says he cannot support this one big beautiful bill because it continues to add to our national debt, which he says by his projections would take us to $59 trillion of debt in about 10 years. I can't say that he's wrong about that, but if we don't get that bill through, Donald Trump's entire agenda could be up for grabs, Pete. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, we do have some work ahead of us on this one big beautiful bill. The House has given us a good start, but number one, we've got to defend the Medicaid reforms and fixes and other spending restraint in the bill. I say restraint because these are not real spending cuts. We're just slowing the rate of growth. We need to do more of that. Senator Johnson is right. We cannot let up on spending restraint and keep our eye off the deficit. We got to keep our eye on it.
Pete Sepp, always appreciate you being here. Thank you as always, my friend. All right, so look.